Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Wildcard Podcast. Well, gee, it was a crazy Starburst 16. Maybe we were popping some Starburst candy, but there was a lot of explosions that happened on all four planets that's caused some turmoil and some chaos as well. Of course, we're going to go over a little bit of that LCQ, what's going on down there. Recap, of course, a little bit of what's been going on with the relegation tournament. We haven't seen much of that, but just a little update on that. Super League bubble talk, always interesting. A little Eclipse 8 preview, and then of course, this is our last episode before we end the tournament, so we don't do any episodes between. So this is it. We'll see how the rest of the tournament goes. We'll get some predictions there. What was your thoughts, G? Opening thoughts on the Starburst 16? Good round. Some bubble bursters and some bubble breakers, too.
You talk about like Starburst, like bursting out the Skittles. I think you might be on an island of your own for that. But no, Starburst 16 was a really good round. Had a lot of great matchups in it, and we have our final eight set. Very interesting final eight to say the least. But overall, I think some of the results were a little surprising. Some of the results I think were kind of expected, but had a lot of playoff drama also in the middle of it all. So going to be a lot to go dive into in this Starburst 16 review, so I'd say let's just get it started with wait, oh god,
What?
do you
Well,
want to say something? Wait a second. I think I have a better. I think I might have
you know what? Yeah,
I have a better way to start this actually.
Yeah. I knew that was coming.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're starting off low here.
Gee, wasn't this your stream game? This was the only game you did, unfortunately.
Sadly, this is not one where it was like bad in the sense of like a bunch of stupid nonsense happened, but it was just bad as in like it was never competitive, unfortunately.
Here's what I'm gonna say, Alan. We all knew Alan could win this game, right? We all knew he had a lot of, I guess, confidence because he's been getting a little better in life, right? Bo, I wasn't there. I can't speak for Bo. I only could talk to I always try to talk to the players if I'm not there. What was going on? I asked Bo what was. He said he just simply got outplayed. I'll take his word for it. You were there more than me. For Al, I asked him what was going, and he's like, "Oh no, man, I just felt confident. I felt confident, but a little emotional too, knowing that this is it, right? Because for those of you who don't know, Alan's gone, right? He's leaving Virginia soon. He's not. He's got to move. But I don't know. This was not the performance. Bo had a lot of aspiration. Basically, gee, for him to get the Super League, he had to win this game, right? Now, of course, he'll still be in the bubble threshold, but I'm just interested to see where your take on this is because I don't think Bo played bad for what I reviewed, but at the same time, yeah, this was one of the worst games of the round. It wasn't good. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, I think a lot of people were expecting Allen coming into this to put up a good performance, but I think a lot of people were also expecting more from Bowtie. He just came off beating Tapir, who won the Jungle July, and Bowtie was looking to defend his regional final run he had in said tournament, and it was looking like to be the case, especially with those first 2 rounds, but I don't even know what happened here. It just completely collapsed. Just did not show much fight, and I mean, just made multiple mistakes throughout. And it's unfortunate to see because we've seen Bowtie be a better player than what he showed in this matchup. I mean, even in the previous round. So I don't know what was going on that night. I maybe just was not like mentally in the game or something like that. But Alan just kind of walked in there, won 5 games, and then walked out of there with not much of a struggle. So I mean, we have seen worse matches in this league.
Of course.
I just the most of this round on average was pretty good, and this was just an uncompetitive 5-0 sweep, and you really don't like to see that at this point in the competition. So it's unfortunate. I was expecting more out of Bowtie. He really didn't deliver there, but hopefully he can do more next year because I think he showed there are definitely upsides to his ability to play, and he can get those runs when he needs it. I could see him making a Final Four next year if he puts it all together, but he needs to avoid performances like this.
Bo had a good year. He had a good year. What did he have? 6 wins, 7 wins, something like that. I think it was.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of hard to compare last year because he's only in 1 tournament, but I mean, it was a good year for him overall.
Considering he was supposed to be on the relegation battle at some point, talks of that after he lost to, who was it? Zach. After he lost to Zach, ironically. There was talks with him as he can even stay. And he had a good year. I don't know if it's enough for Super League. Obviously, we'll deliberate at the end of the month. As one last thing on Alan G, I mean, I said in the last episode, what does he have to lose? Nothing. What's second place? Nothing. Right? And I think Alan just has to continue that mindset because basically, here's how it works with him. whoever plays him, if you lose, it's a quad 4 loss. It doesn't matter one way or another. He's playing spoiler. He is Purdue. He is the spoiler maker. We'll see how that one goes. The spoiler makers were crazy back then. But
Purdue is the spoiler maker?
well, Boilermakers, spoiler maker, Purdue spoiler maker. It was a joke.
Now I get it, because I was saying like they're playing spoiler like Purdue, and I was like, I'm pretty sure Purdue is like one of the best teams in the country, but.
Well, no, I'm talking about football, college football. They used to be the spoiler maker.
Oh yeah, they're not very good in football.
no, basketball they're one of the best, but football no. Yeah, no, that was good. But next game, I'm gonna be honest with you, this wasn't this one. I didn't enjoy this one. This is between you and me. The problem is Carson had to do this in 1 hour, and we just kept running 5, 6, 7, 7, 8. I mean, we just kept going low. I don't think Carson. This has just been his season, man. Great guy, but his scheduling
myself, honestly.
His scheduling is just so weird sometimes, and he just didn't take the game seriously. Toaster almost got a free win. Thoughts on this one? That's how I saw it.
I mean, I interjected there for a second. I mean, you took the words out of my mouth. This game was the exact summary of Carson's season. Round of 16, kind of just all over the place, and yeah, I think there was a few good plays in this, but I mean, again, you're kind of limited when you're only running 5, 6, 7, so not much you could really do there, unfortunately. But Toaster guy gets to win, much needed win for Carson. I mean, his season's probably over. It's weird because I think there was higher expectations going into the year for Carson. I don't think he necessarily had a bad year, but I think people were expecting a little more. But we'll see what he does next year. I think he needs to find some way out of this rut to build up more consistency, because I think he made like 3 round of 16s, if I'm not mistaken, something in that ballpark, I think. Let me check this for a second. No, for this year.
Oh yeah, I think it was 2. Or was it 3?
No, he only made 2. He only made 2, but he made it out of the first round 4 times, and then made 2 round of 16s, but never really could get any further than that. So I think that's a little disappointing. I could have seen at least a round of 8 appearance from Carson this year. Hopefully he finds something in the offseason to try to break through that barrier right now. But yeah, I mean, Toaster guy, I mean, we really talk about his main Masquerade run, but I mean, he's kind of really built himself up since that performance, and I mean, now he's still in the hunt to be in Super League, and I mean, I think this next matchup coming up against Allen's an important one he's got to win. So if he can make another Final Four, he's really setting himself up to possibly make the field, but gonna have to get through Allen, who's been proven to not be someone to go down easy.
It's kind of funny, Chief. I can't believe I'm saying it, but Carson was your 2024 sophomore class champion.
Yep.
Congratulations. Oh,
who did I pick at the start of the year? I feel like I might have picked Carson, actually.
I think you might have. I said H. Nah, that was, oh boy. Oh jeez.
We're gonna have to check that at some point, but we'll probably have an episode on the recap of our predictions and seeing how terrible they were. But
we were pretty tortuous. But yeah, point is that it was. Never forget, 7, 8 Super Leaguers, man. All the Super Leaguers gonna make it. Okay. But point is, yeah.
You had like
7.
You had 8 for 8.
Well, no, Aria don't count. We don't. Aria was no one knew that. No,
that'd be 7 for 7 then, I guess.
Yeah, 7. But no one could have known that was coming. And if she was here, we don't know if she would have made it. We have no idea, right? So, but yes, it wasn't the best. All right, G, let's go to the next game. Which, oh boy. Okay, next game, Chicago Red.
This wasn't as bad on the table. Maybe off the table there were some issues, but I don't think this was bad on the table.
No, on the table actually Radden did really well, but off the table was something. I think Tago just had to get through. G, you look at Tago. He's now had 2 back-to-back Q4. It's nothing special, right? Of course, he had Bye Island. It's just get through the games, right? Don't get tripped up. Don't fall into a trap. And he was falling into a trap. The sad part is early in the game, I was very impressed with Radden. The first 2 games, he was using power play right. He was executing, and Tago just looked off. And he needed to find something. It was a game 3 where he amped up the card starts, but ultimately that's where he's cooked all year. That's all he's done. Congratulations to Tago. I think the next game's the big litmus test. I think G for Radden, 3 wins on the season, considering he was supposed to be a goose egg for most of the year. It's kind of impressive considering he beat what? Abion, Cody, Lane. Those are some top. Abion and Lane are potential Super League players. So he beat some good people, but not enough.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it was, I think especially what we were considering going into the year. I think it was a success on the table, at least. Off the table, maybe some improvements are needed there, but um, honestly, I think he kind of developed a little more throughout the year. I mean, we remember that terrible March match between you and him. Don't ever want to
No.
revisit that ever again. But I think since then he's kind of just evolved. He has like an idea of some sort of style to maybe try to follow with. We'll see what he does with it. Hopefully, it doesn't go too far into one specific direction, which I think we kind of saw a little bit with the lane matchup last round. But overall, I think he's kind of just been steadily improving throughout the year. We'll see if he does more next year, but there's going to be a lot of competition coming in next year, so he's got to make sure he's leveling it up. Otherwise, he might stay in this similar range or even fall a little bit below it. But I mean, for Tago, it's a much needed win. Needed to get through this matchup, and he did. Now he's going on to the regional finals with a huge opportunity here. Remember, he's still someone who's in contention to possibly get into Buy Island for Super League, which would be big. And I think this next matchup is a huge opportunity here to do that. But yeah, any last thoughts on this matchup, KT, before we go to this next one?
No, next one was a really good one. I think Tygo has to, just like I said, didn't fall into a trap, and now he's going to have to deliver a different type of mindset because, man, I thought for sure most of this game, it's like that old meme, right, G? And you got us in the first half. Because the first half of this game, it was all you. He was up 4-1. I thought for sure right there and then, man, he might actually win this 5-2 or something. But then he had a monster hand in game two, and then just the luck just shifted. It wasn't even that Ashley outplayed. It's just the luck shifted, right? Until we got to about game 8 and 9, I thought, okay, maybe Pez could finish the deal. But he had no power play, and ultimately Ashley still had hers, and that was the difference. Where I think the fact that he burned up the power play, burned up the luck in game 2, it's tough to lose that way. He did a great job for most of that series, but he even said it himself that game 2, I used up all the luck, and it wasn't enough. For Ashley, big win. I don't know if she was going to hundo. I think she was.
I think
I
she
think
was.
in my
I
opinion,
would be shocked if
yeah.
she wasn't going a hundo for that ending because no one just comes
Oh,
back from
ending for
4-1.
sure. For ending for sure. But you got to think maybe it was testing some things on some lower start pad. We don't see her go 10 a lot. I think this is a big confidence booster for Ashley. My question is, G, did Yepez do enough to make this? Is going to be nip and tech. I don't know because he had a DQ win against M, which hurt him a little bit, which none of his doing. Then he beat Sting in quad. This isn't going to be the most easiest decision to say we're going to put him in the field. He's on the bubble, and I don't know if he's going to be able to run it back. We're going to see. What do you think about Yepez blowing the 4-1, or do you think the bigger story was Ashley coming back from resiliency, which she's done all season? Remember the 4-0 against JT in March. Can't forget that.
2 words for this: missed opportunity. If he won this matchup, he was in Super League without a doubt in my mind. But up 4-1, couldn't find that 5th game to close it out, and unfortunately, here we are. Lost the matchup 5-4. Ashley moves on to her 3rd round of 8 appearance. For Yepez, it's now he has to enter this bubble, and this year, I mean, we thought last year's bubble was wild. That was only with 2 people, well, really only 2 people that were really neck and neck. This year, it's a gigantic field of people who could be in or out, and that's not the situation he wants to be in. He avoided that last year because he had the winning tournament for. Doesn't have the tournament win this year, and the resume is not looking amazing here. He's still. I'm not going to say he doesn't have a chance. I think he still has a shot to get in, but it's not a surefire guaranteed. He could very well be that first person out, possibly, which would be an absolutely unbelievable sight if that does happen. But I mean, the biggest takeaway I have this was a humongous missed opportunity from Yepez, and I mean, especially if he doesn't make the field, this might haunt him that he didn't win this game while up 4-1.
Yeah, I can relate to that, G. I was up 4-1 Super League in different circumstances for sure, but hey, it sucks because it's one thing when you blow up a 3-0, right? It happens. We've seen that with Ask Yoshi, but a 4-1 in a best of 9, your chances are 90% usually most of the time. The fact that you just couldn't close it out, it's going to sting. But the one thing I will say for Yepez, wherever he ends up, I think the fact of the matter is, at a certain point, even I can admit to this, I thought after T3 he was done. I thought his mindset was finished right when he lost to Clay. But then he told me something very important. I didn't win the game, so I didn't have the +4s against Clay. I think that'll work back in my favor down the road. Well, it did, but the problem was it comes down to resume now. We have better logistics on the resume. Last year we were just on peak running consistency, really. I don't know if it's going to be enough, but if it isn't enough, he gave it his all, considering where he was. But if it is, he got 9 lives then. Something's going to have to give. We'll see where he is at the end of the month. Definitely a wait and see moment for you, Pez. Any final thoughts? Are we good on for a great match coming up next? Great, fantastic one right here.
I feel like we're going to be circling back to this matchup when we come to the Super League bubble discussion at this point, and
Right.
I mean, obviously you bring it to 9, which I mean, the argument is also that did he really bring it to 9 or did Ashley bring it to 9? That's really another argument there, but that's going to be one that I think could haunt Yepes. I wouldn't say forever. Again, this is just no game, so it's like this is not going to change your entire life, but that could just taunt him in his mind for a very long time. That was up 4-1, didn't get the job done. I mean, what if he wins that one of those next 4 games over Ashley? I mean, he's in Super League without a doubt in my mind. Even if he lost 5-0 in the regional final, he would have still made Super League. So I don't know. I mean, instead of knowing he's in, he's now got to sit and wait and see. So not the situation you want to see Yepes in, but very, very peculiar spot he's found himself in going into the Super League discussions.
Those little moments in the league, G. And sometimes we talk about it. Start the dream in January when we get the format revealed, and then all the way in September. And sometimes it is that September moment that haunts you. It's crazy how sports and how the world works sometimes, but there he goes. Speaking of great games, this was a fantastic game. This was an epic showdown. Bad Brad versus Cap. Brad was putting up a fight. Now, at one point, I thought, oh, man, Cap up 4-2. Game is 7-8, 5 cards. Cap has got it for sure. Right? I'm thinking this is over, right? But Brad found a way on 5 cards, which is really impressive because we all know Cap on a 5-card start is usually lights out. His ratio winning a 5-card start is more on the positive than negative. And Brad did it twice. Now he did have to burn power play up, which Cap did admit that it almost made him feel confident because then he had the power play. Or not the power play. He had the advantage in a sense that as a neutralized power play game, and ultimately game 9, Brad sent it, and Cap had a little bit of advantage on ISO. But you gotta think for Brad here, G. It's not the worst thing. I know his resume took a hit because of the quad reshuffling a little bit. I think he's going to be on a case where me and him are going to be on the same level of a case of where do we end up. For Cap, it's pretty much clear as day, G. If he goes out there and beats Ashley or Ashley beats him, it's between Cap or Ashley for number 1. And we had thought Cap, and we thought he airmailed it. T3 and 4, he airmailed it. He's done. But he's turned back up, and I really think the opportunities have just skyrocketed for Cap. Thoughts on his presence, and do you think Brad's in the same spot as me in the sense that it's going to come down to it might come to a debate between me and Brad for that last spot in bot. We don't know. Thoughts on that?
I mean, I feel like you could make the argument that the bot island for at least the top 4 is somewhat set in some sort of way, but yeah, really good match. I think Brad really showed why he's a good player, bringing it back from 4-2, especially in Captain's home stands, where it is his own familiar territory. But I mean, unfortunately, just couldn't find the finish in game 9 to get the job done. But I mean, Captain, good showing there. This could be a preview of a potential rematch in Super League, so I am curious to see how that goes if we do find that. But yeah, overall was impressed from both players, but Captain's going to be the one that comes out on top in that one. But I wouldn't be surprised if these two come to a head again in Super League and we get a rematch there. So I'm curious to see how that matchup would look like if we do get to that point. But yeah.
Yeah, that would be insane. We did say, and Brad even said himself, it's crazy that I'm playing Cap in a round of 16 where it could be a Super League Final 4. It could have been. It really was a preview, a litmus test of what we could see come late October. All right, G, this next match, well, it was pretty much Caesar, man. He walked around it. He did his job and got the win on Cody. Obviously, Cody fought the first couple games. He got it back to a game 7, but Caesar just had too much on the tank. He finished the job. I think it was a season for Cody where he basically summed it up, right? He said in his post-game quote, fighting the bot all year, Super League wasn't on the horizon. Got a couple nice wins. I mean, he had a good win with Ghost myself. Those were his 2 big standout wins, and that was it. For Caesar, you pretty much said he eats quad 3 and 4 for lunch, but I almost hate to say it, G, but this is almost Yepes 2.0, right? Because now he's going to get his first quad 1 game of the season. If he wins that game, he might be in. If he loses, he's in Yepes' spot where we come down to, pick your poison. It's kind of crazy how things circle back in Whiplash. Your thoughts on Cody's season and man, what a crazy turn of events. The Caesar's in the same spot as Yepes, basically.
I mean, I'm not really gonna go into like the logistics of like the post game comment and whatnot with Lamas because I think I've talked about this at least with a few other people and whatnot. But I was hoping for a little bit more accountability in general, even if it was fighting the bot all year. But that's besides the point. I won't really dive too much into that. That's not really what this show's about. Looking more towards Caesar, this is really the opportunity he's been looking for. I don't think he's had a single quad 1 game all year. This is going to be a quad 1 game. I think I said this in the last episode. If he made it to this spot, this is his moment. This is his playoffs on the line here. If he wins, he might make it. I mean, I don't know if he's guaranteed to make it per se, but his chances substantially increase. But if he loses, then this is his last chance. There's no chance. There's no tournament 6 after this. There's no other match after this. This is it. If he does not win this match, he is not making Super League, and there is no argument for him to make it. So this is the definition of a do or die game for Caesar here, and he has to be walking into this matchup thinking, I have to win this. There is no other acceptable option, and just got to lock in and get ready to go with it because you look at his path. I mean, we talked about this before. For some reason, Caesar seems to avoid those big crucial like wins for some reason, and I don't know why he like dominates quad 3, and I think a lot of his path was quad 3. I mean, Dark Rain, Rogers, and now Lamas. I don't know about Rogers, might be quad 4, but Dark Rain and Lamas are definitely quad 3. So yeah, this is the moment for Caesar. That's really all it is. He's got to win this match, and if he doesn't win this match, he's done, and that's really the bottom line of it. So we'll have our predictions later for this matchup, but I think this is going to be the one that's going to be the most decisive and most interesting. But I mean, we've talked about this all year where Caesar, he has these big moments in these matchups that could be season defining, like a big win, and he just comes up short. He's came up short every time this season, so he's got to take the losses from the past 4 tournaments, put them all together, figure out what went wrong with them, and come up with a game plan to make sure he walks into that matchup and ends up being the one on top, because this is what his entire season's led up to at this point. He's got to win this matchup. I'm repeating myself over and over, but like I cannot like emphasize more how important it is that Caesar has to win this matchup.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. We talk about those circle back moments, and there it is. And we think about Caesar. This wouldn't be the first one, though. Obviously, the one that sticks out of my mind is that internet issue with Stingray. I mean, he had it. Right, and he was up 4-2. Everything was working right. Internet implodes, and then just he lost composure. And I think the key for him, I'll talk more about, is that his low card start. He talked about against Rogers. Rogers figured something out against him on that 7-5. He's going up a guy that plays that, and that's the key. Can he figure that out? We'll say that for predictions. Gee, this was I'm sorry. Vapor's a great guy. I love the dude, but he said stick to the game plan, was the light switch, and didn't expect what Brock. Brock was doing fade looks at 2 cards in the red. He would draw, Vapor would go to red, and he was finishing the game. Brock outplayed him. Simple as that. Brock outplayed Vapor today, or on that day, and you look at Vapor, he was in the same boat as Carson, I would say, 6-win guy. Had to go win the tournament. Resume just wasn't it. He got outplayed. For Brock, I think he's not in the Caesar situation because he does have that Eli and Nam win, which are huge. But you got to think for Brock, the momentum is building. Something's building. And I'll be honest with you, he's on the right side of the bracket. You want to be in quad 1 or 4. In a sense, if you want to go out there and this is it. Especially with the guy he's playing not there that everyone thought it would be. I think Brock is in a great spot. You said it at the beginning of this whole tournament. Brock could be the one to watch. And he's proved you right. He's there. He's one step away. Talk to me on Brock and Vapor season that just, it never got going at the end of the day, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, I'm thankful that Brock's doing well this tournament because I've been high on him all season, and he kept under delivering, and I still decided to put my all my eggs in one basket, and it finally paid off. So the Brock I'm used to, I know that we've seen before in the past, has finally shown up. Thank goodness. So I don't know. I mean, I'm looking at this bracket. I'm just gonna start this here. I think he has a very good chance to do what I said at the start and possibly win the entire tournament. So. Kind of like one of those Game 7 moments in a way where he clutches up. But I mean, going to Vapor, I don't know about Vapor. I, I mean, it wasn't a bad season, but I wouldn't really say it was a good season. I'm gonna be honest; he was kind of in the middle most of the year. Didn't really contend much for the bubble, but was never really a threat in getting into relegation. Was just kind of one of those players who was just hanging out in the middle. I wouldn't say forgettable, but it's just like you don't really it's not really on the top of your list when you're talking about players to talk about per se. So I don't know. I think both seasons Favor's been in have kind of been the same way. So maybe I'm wondering if he'll find something in his final year next year, but I don't know. This was kind of another forgettable season, unfortunately. But I mean, for Brock, put we didn't get that matchup yet. I almost spoiled one the final match, but I
You
think for
good?
Brock, an important matchup coming up. I mean, if he wins this, he might have the wins to just get in, even if he loses in the final four. But I don't think he's going to settle for that. So we'll see what Brock does. I believe this is actually the first time he's made the regional finals all year. So
Correct.
peaking at the right time. But we'll see what he does in this one. He's going to have an interesting opponent to say the least to try to get the job done and make his first final four.
Yeah, but his opponent's going to be JT, Jesse Turner, newly minted married man turn. Say that 5 times fast. Well,
I
for
just want to
JT,
before you jump into this matchup, I just want to say one thing. I was right about the marriage boost. I mentioned it in the last
unbelievable.
episode. There was a marriage boost. I was right about that. I just wanted to say that and keep it going.
Well, now we know the plan later in life. See, that's what wins games. That's it. No, all joking aside, this was a rivalry. It was a trilogy. Look, I hate to say it, but excluding that one bailout JT got in game, what was it for? I think JT just had Sanford's number that night. I really do. I think Sanford played well, but JT had something special for Sanford. A little bit of some fade looks, a little bit of some things that maybe he's just trying to go. JT's safe, right? We all knew. Maybe he's not. Maybe he doesn't have the resume for Bi Island, right? If he loses even in this next round, but he's safe into the Super League field. He's pretty much locked. I was impressed in the sense that he really did go out there and prove some haters wrong, doubters wrong. You got the 2-0 on Sanford. Is Sanford now? This is the Is Sanford safe? Right? You think, oh, KT's safe 10-win season, right? But there's some asterisks, right? DQ win. 9 out of his 10 wins were
Did
just,
he
I
have a
think, Q3 or 4. Eric Monaco, remember?
Uh, I guess he did, but continue.
Yeah, Sanford did. Eric Monaco, he did. He couldn't stand it. He wanted a restraining order.
We don't talk
Point.
about that.
Yeah, let's not talk about it. Point is, yeah, it was. I don't know if he's safe. I think he is, but the problem is, we talk about resume. He's in the same boat as Yepes. I personally think he's safe, but it's gonna be nip and tuck. I don't know, and the reason why is, think about this. Allen's still out there. Is Brock? If Brock beats JT, is that enough for Brock? If Caesar beats Cap, right? What if Toaster guy beats Allen? Well, that someone's got to give you it away there. Point is, and actually Toaster's got tiebreaker, right? So there's a lot of things I think Sanford still needs to get in. I don't think he's guaranteed either. And it's usually, you think 10-win season, but it just shows you, G. I think it's a great lesson to learn for the future. Not every win is created equal in this league. You may have 10 wins, but if 90% are quad 3 and 4, is that enough? I don't know, right? We're still learning as years go on about the system, but I don't know if the Sanford is completely safe. For JT, I think he's completely safe. Now his goal at this rate, right? Because especially if Toaster Guy and Brock are still quad 3, his goal is maybe even just try to win the tournament and maybe crash the Bi Island party. I think that's his only shot. His resume is not the best either, but he has enough wins and a little bit of a good quad reshuffling from the last reveal show. It almost helped him. But thoughts on JT moving on to the EA to play Brock, and did Sanford do enough? That's the big question.
I think Sanford's going to be on that bubble going in to when we have this discussion. I don't think he's safe per se, but I mean, I mean, you look at some of the numbers here. I mean, 18.2 average finish, which like maybe like that doesn't sound great, but I mean, you look at some of the other people on the bubble here, it's a little better. Obviously, there's way more that goes into it than that, but I
Of
mean,
course.
on the I guess on the face of it, I mean, not terrible, but I'm not sure. That's gonna be jury's still out on that one for me, to be honest. Because he does have technically 10 wins, but one DQ win and I think a good chunk of quad 3, quad 4. So not looking too great there. I don't even does he have a quad 1 win on the season? I'm not even sure.
Yes,
I have to check.
Christian Tago.
He does have a win on Tago, so that
That's
might
it,
help
though.
him, but it's only that
Yeah.
one. I don't think he has a single quad 2 win. So.
Nine out
Um,
of his 10 wins are 8 out of his 9 wins are quad 3 and 4. It's crazy.
Yeah,
It's unbelievable.
that's not great, but that one Tago win might pull in the clutch for him, but we'll see. And he got that in the Jungle July, which he made the Final Four in. So we'll see what happens. Curious where Sanford ends up. He's another one of those Super League players from last year, but I mean, yeah, I mean for Turner, this has been a real great turnaround season for Turner. Again, married man had the marriage boost. We'll see how long it goes on for that. But I mean, there's some real. I mean, we're thinking about this also. There were some real questions about whether Turner was even going to be in this tournament with this whole wedding and whatnot. But made it through the I guess the not, I wouldn't say rough water because obviously it's one of the greatest moments in your life getting married, but made it through like the scheduling difficulties, I guess. Now he's on the honeymoon side of it, and I mean he's kind of got. I mean it's all vibes from this point. So I don't know. I'd look at Turner as a potential threat here, and if he was going up against anyone that was not the guy who I literally put all my eggs into one basket for, I would say he has a really good chance to get very far.
Yeah, it's crazy how that works out, right? Sometimes it's how the old cookie crumbles. But thank you, G, for that. We'll move on to the next topic, which is going to be a little bit of D2 LCQ. How are we doing, man? We're almost there, almost at that finish line, which is nice.
Yeah, we'll start with bracket A here. I mean, I think we went through most of the quarterfinals from that
Correct.
point, so we have the semifinals here. We'll actually give some predictions here for these matchups. For bracket A, I mean, we'll just quickly summarize the quarterfinals again, just in case there was anything missed. Short beat Mark 4-1. Luke beat Retta 4-1. I'm realizing there's a lot of 4-1s here as I scroll through this. Emmy beat
It
Deleted
happens.
4-1, and then Jenna beat My Hill 4-2. I do remember talking about that one. In the semifinals, Short, he was basically the Cinderella run at this point in the A bracket. I know you were really rooting for him to try to make it in, but unfortunately that did come to an end. Luke was able to get the better of Short, won that matchup. You guessed it, 4-1. And
Of course.
Luke makes it to the final, so he's one game away from making it into the D2 championship after what's been kind of like a middle of the ground season. Has played his way into this final here. He's got to win one more game to make it in, but you're going up against really tough competition here because on the other side we had a rematch, and that was Emmy and Jenna who played in the June Gelato. That was both their first matches in their MRA Uno careers. Jenna was able to get away with it 3-1 in June, but when we came to the LCQ, seasons on the line, the same story happened. Jenna was able to win this time with an extra game, 4-1. Jenna moves on to the final, and I'm going to break the ice here with this. Jenna was my pick to win the A bracket, and she is not disappointed so far. Has played really well, and I think she'll put up a great fight against Luke in this final. Really looking forward to this matchup. We'll go to the B bracket before we jump into predictions. Just quickly jump through the quarterfinals. I think there was a few matches we didn't cover since they were going on. Sky was able to beat Rana 4-3. That one we covered. Rune beat Chloro 4-3. And then I think the two we didn't cover. Amazing Pikachu swept Ryan Reed. That was a bit of a hosing, unfortunately. You hate to see the season end for that, but Pikachu was able to move on there. And then Jab was able to beat Omni 4-2. So stopped the run there. The only upper seed in the quarterfinals to make it to the semifinals, it was a lower seed sweep for the most part. And Jav was the sole survivor of that, so he's holding the torch for all the higher seeds right now with that. But so yeah, that leads us to the semifinals. Bracket B semifinals have not quite happened yet, but I believe both are happening as of the recording, I believe this is coming out on the 20th, so they're going to be happening on that day. I believe with the upload 10 a.m. The first one's going to be happening in about 30 minutes, although it probably already started by this point if you're watching through this whole thing at one speed. So, yeah. So from there, I think we could give our predictions here since it's only I mean, technically only 4 matches because we'll do like a mock-up prediction for the bracket B final. But let's start with bracket A. KT, I know you may not be as familiar with these players, but I think you have seen you've seen a little bit of Luke per se. I believe you were reffing.
Yes.
You did ref that game. Anything you were able to take away from that matchup that you might be able to help him in this final?
Well, I've seen him a lot in those cups. Remember Gino's practice cups when we had the incidents with Eli when he wasn't there. So I was doing the practice cups with the new body. I see a lot of good fade looks from him. I've seen a lot of good fade looks. I think he could actually put up a fight here. Jen is very patient with that. Luke's really not patient sometimes, but he's developed a little bit things on the higher start. I think he's really good at 7 through 5. I really like Luke on a 7 through 5 game. I just don't know what the card start variety is going to be. I think I'm just tired of seeing this 4-1 crap. I don't know what that's about.
Hopefully we will not have a 4-1 in this final.
No, I hope not. I think he'll go 4-3. I don't know. I don't really have a prediction. Honest to God, I don't. Normally I make a prediction, but I don't have enough data on both players to just confidently say it's going to go either way. I'll just say 4-3. I'm hoping for a good game. What does Jenna got do? I guess the only thing I saw, the one time I did see her earlier, was it against Nathan? I think it was. That was the one game I briefly saw, right? Because I think I just had to stop by for 5 minutes. I will say there are ways to beat her, right? There are ways in the sense that if you know how to time the ammo right. But yes, she's very patient on ammo, but there is a way to counteract that. You just got to time it right. Plays a little bit, actually, a lot, not even a little, a lot like Brad at certain points, which is interesting. But I think it goes 4-3. I can't pick a winner. I don't have enough data to confidently say, okay, it's going either way. No offense. Because I don't know what the cards are going to be, right? Janet is very all over the map. Luke can run 5 through 7 very well, but then if he goes on a higher start, he beats Short pretty handily, right? Mm-hmm. So it's hard to say where that's going to go. I'll say it goes 7, though. I just can't predict a winner. My heart would tell me, though, my heart would say if I had to pick one person, you would think based off of style, it would definitely be Jenna. But for some reason, it's been weird, G. Sometimes the averages, they all favor out. And I do remember Luke having that, what was that, weird moment against Gman where some stupid power play happened and he should have won that game. I feel like the bot almost owes him one. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets the win here because of that moment. Sometimes the law averages work out, but either way who wins, it's going to be good. I don't care. Who are they going to play? Is it the 6th seed? I think
they're going to play the 6th seed, so that would actually be gone. So
so that'd be kind of crazy.
I mean, if Luke wins, that's a rematch. So
it could be crazy. We'll see if the law of averages works. Sometimes the bot is a weird way of saying Luke's going to win. We get the rematch, but I don't know. I think it'll go 7. The other bracket, I know what is it? We don't have the other
bracket. Other bracket, we have the semis going on right now, which one comment I will make before we jump into these. I mean, I'm gonna say it goes in 7. It could go either way, but I think on Jenna's side of things, the only 2 people she lost to with the counter were Taslim and Sky. Taslim being in the D2 championship right now, and then Sky still being in on the B side of the bracket. So 2 very good players here that she's lost to. So she definitely has the skills to be able to get the job done. But question is, will she be able to show up on the day of the finale and put it to pedal to the metal, really? Because I mean that's gonna be a tense game, because that's the difference between D2 championship and then you're packing your bags for next year. So it's gonna be very exciting. I mean, jumping to the B side of bracket, I mean, we'll start with Jav and then Pikachu. Here's the thing. I think Pikachu started off the year slow when he jumped in June. Had a bit of a hosing, unfortunately, to start things out, but was able to pick it up in August, was able to qualify for the LCQ from there. Ended up as the 5 seed, but now he's going up against Jav. Jav had a really good June and then not a great August, so kind of a bit of an inverse here. You could argue that Pikachu has some more of the momentum still. I think he really likes the style where he runs quickly, but that he kind of got tested in his first round matchup. That was not an easy matchup for him. That went 4-2. He was down at one point and then was able to just kind of roll through Ryan Reed, was able to get the style he was looking for. I mean, you look at this is really just about the style here and like what can Jav do to play defense. Do you have any thoughts on this one? I know you've played Pikachu and Myth, so I think that's where your experience comes from, and I think Jav you've been able to talk to a little bit. So any comments on this one?
Was that we did that Final Four game with him and White? Remember that? No, that was the.
That's yeah. Hmm.
But Pikachu, man. If we just had a 7-card start league and we were playing speed Uno, the guy would be unbeatable. He really is. He's very good speeding up your processing, but I don't know with card start variety. The moment I remember Jab, I remember the first thing he did was slow it down against White, and he really got into White's head. Jab likes to play a slower style game, not the slowest style, but a slower game where he likes to he almost likes to speed you up in a way and make you overthink without doing much. I guess I can make a prediction because I've seen these guys all the time. I'll go Jab 4-3. I think he's got something special with the slower style against these really quick fire players. Now we know hockey's the big one, right? When we see him coming up in the championship, but until we see his data, I think Jab's going to find a way. Pikachu, the only thing I'll say is if he does win, the other side actually might be worse for him, believe it or not. And you might think it might be better. I'm going to explain why it might be worse. But I think with Jab, he seems to be more of a cool customer, doesn't really care, just goes in, does the business, and goes away, right? Literally almost went away. Gee, he wasn't even supposed to be. Right? We had to fry him back into the server, had to fish for him. But no, point is, I think Jab gets the job done 4-3. He'll use that slower processing and get into Pikachu's head. What do you think?
I think about this a lot, and I think if we had to look at both the higher seed, Jav was the only higher seed to survive the onslaught of upsets, and I think that does say something with what he's looking for in this tournament. And I think he showed a lot of great skills in June. I'm just a little concerned about how that August went, and Pikachu's kind of rolling the momentum here. Um, I'm also gonna go 4-3 here. And that's not to say that I think it will go 4-3, but um, actually, no, I'm gonna go 4-2. Actually, I don't know if this goes 7, but that's more of like a style thing and not like a player thing. I think Jav's gonna find his style to be the one that comes out on top, and I think he's gonna get the job done from there. He wins at 4-2 there. But I don't know. Again, I think this is the interesting thing about this format. I think a lot of these matchups are towards the upper mid pack of the field, and I think that's really where we are at this point because I think every person left has at least 3 wins. So that might not be a lot in terms of D1 standards, but it was a little different this year with like the rounds and whatnot. We had only like 32 people to start, and then we expanded to 53 as the season came to an end. So a little bit different on the wins column there, but I mean in general, I think that's going to be a close matchup, and I think all these matchups that we've been talking about are really going to be close coming to the end of this. But last one we'll really talk about in detail. I mean we have like the mock-up finale and whatnot, really just a winner pick, but. Rune Sky. I mean, Rune's definitely been someone who's kind of running a Cinderella. He is the 10 seed, but he had a pretty solid April. He took to Pierce to the limit when he was in D2 back in the April Airwave. But since then, he's kind of been floundering all over the place, and that's kind of why he's the 10 seed. Was able to get the 2 wins needed to qualify, but has really not been able to do much out of that. But he's kind of turned it up this LCQ. Able to beat Ryan C 4-2, had a very close match with Chloro 4-3. That was a really great match in general. Said after the game he was absolutely sweating. Like he really felt that playoff pressure. So that's another thing we've talked about a lot on the show. But goes up against Sky, who I mean I think Sky's been a very very quietly good player. She started as an 8 seed, one of the bottom 4 seeds in the entire league to start the year, and now she's here in the semifinal. And she's also the 6th line, and I mean we've talked about this. The 6th line historically has been very strong in Emory. You know, in the 6th line's in the final for the A bracket in Jenna. There's a possibility we have both 6 line. There's a possibility we have a 5-6 in both brackets here. So I think Sky's really just evolved her game plan throughout the year, and I think it's really come down to this point where she's able to bring the heat no matter who she's going up against. And I mean, she survived 2 Game 7s in these first 2 rounds, beat Prince 4-3 and then beat Rana 4-3. So she has really felt the playoff pressure throughout this entire thing, and I think she is someone who, if it really comes down to the end of it, has the tools needed to be prepared and get the job done. I mean, any thoughts on either of these players? I think you've talked with Rune a little bit. Sky you might be a little bit more unfamiliar with, but you could probably talk about that playoff mentality a little bit with Sky.
Well, I've seen Sky in practice cups, right? 'Cause Sky has a very interesting style. Rune, yeah, I've seen Rune enough. Rune definitely plays an interesting game, more 7, right? More to the core. Sky has a little bit more of a always seems to get down to Uno or 2 and just says, "I have a decision to make." Right? Tries to force your hand a little bit, but in a weird way, sometimes has to force her own hand, and sometimes it bites her. Right? It's interesting. I'll go Rune 4-2. I think Rune's going to find something on this one. Now, it may not be the most ideal match to schedule, but if this comes out true, either way, this is a little bit harder to schedule with these guys. But I think regardless, I think Rune's going to have something special. I think Rune will. I don't know. I think Rune will just force Sky into the situation where you got to make a choice, and sometimes when you make a choice, you can get burnt and cooked. I'm going to go Rune 4-2. I've had a lot of respect for him. He's one of the first guys I tested too. Oh, man, way back in February. So I do remember him a little bit, and he's done a couple. Yeah, I think he did one European practice cup. We did have one of those in April with Cap and them. So I remember them playing putt party afterwards. But yeah, I'll go Rune 4-2. G. I think he's got enough, and if everything comes to fruition, he'll play Jav.
Yeah, we talk about this. Both these players are coming off very, very intense game 7, so this really comes down to, I think when I initially did my predictions privately, I think I had Sky winning this bracket, so I actually had both 60s winning. I don't know. I think the momentum's a little bit on Rune's side, though. I'm going to go with Rune in a 4-2 here as well. I think he's found something that clicks, and beat Chloro, who's a very good player recently, so coming off a lot of momentum. Sky, beat Rana, but I think Chloro has more of the tools in place on the table, at least, to get the job done. Rana's more table talk off the table shenanigans. I think she has a lot of the really good mind games, but on the table there's some improvement to be made there. But I don't know. I'm liking what I've been seeing out of Rune so far in this LCQ. So I think a Rune Jav final is very possible. But from there, who would win? I would probably lean towards. I'd probably lean towards Jav. I think he just has an overall better mindset with I guess the MRE Uno rule set in general. I get not knowing the rules, because obviously Rune knows the rules and whatnot. But I think for Jav, it's just in terms of how the style goes, I think he just has a better read on the system. So I don't know, but I think any of these 4 people left could win this B bracket. This is very tight. I think you wouldn't go wrong with picking any of these 4 to qualify as the B bracket winner. But KT, any thoughts on who would win in a Jav Rune final, and any last thoughts you want to put on the LCQ?
Yeah, I'll go Jav 4-3 here. I think Rune will actually show a little bit more of that speed up processing, where it may affect Jav early because of the time zone too. There's a little time zone element. Whereas Pikachu's from the States, there's states on states. This is New York, Belgium, so there will be a little bit of time zone thing there. So maybe you get Jav in an uncomfortable spot in time zone, but Jav will ultimately rally, and he'll figure out a way to get it done in the back end of the series. It was okay. I'm going to say it's new. I was against it right at the beginning of the year, but I've opened up to it. I think it's a good system. Obviously, we'll probably have to expand the win total to something higher, but yeah, 23, 24 people, is that really what you need for an LCQ? No. Should we get that down to 12? Maybe, but it's the first year. I think overall went well. I think it's just a little growing pain. Now we have the data. We can adjust and go from there. And we'll see, G. Like I said, I did say on the reveal show, right, the actual video reveal show, every champion was once a challenger, and that's all these guys have, right? If it's whoever it is out of the winner of this group, or
it would be Camaro, so
yeah, beat Camaro, right? So you gotta think, is that possible to beat Camaro? Yeah, it is, especially if it's Jav. You gotta think, okay, maybe Jav, he had that Final Four run. Maybe he can get into Camaro's head. It'll be a challenge either way. Camaro's a different beast. We all know that, but we'll see. I look forward to seeing the end of this and seeing how it goes, man. It's been good. All things considered, it's been good for sure. That's my final thoughts. But let's move over, G, to the next topic, which is the bubble discussion. And man, oh man, where do we begin? Let's kind of sum it up, right? You look at the people that lost. Let's look at the top. Obviously, a bad Brad loss. You talked about this. You said pretty much that you thought Bye Island was set for a double buys. I'm gonna say yes, unless JT or Tago maybe win the tournament. Because then if they win the tournament, then there's a possible discussion. But I think Brad and I just still had enough in the tank. So I really think with Tapir already losing, right, he couldn't move up. Ashley Cap winning. Now I'm already lost. We have no idea what's good with Eli or Chomik. we chime with Eli. I think it's Ash Cap for number one. I think KT, Brad, KT, and whatever order we'll have to discuss on resume. And then the only chance, in my humble opinion, is going to have to be Tago or JT. And I really think the problem with JT too is he doesn't even have a Brad tiebreaker. So realistically, I think Tago's the only one that could spoil the party for Delby. He's going to have to go win. If Ashley goes out there and takes care of business, then different story. It gets interesting on back, and here's the people we have to talk about, right? We have to look at CT and JT are in. So where does it go? We have Lane who lost, Ghostlaw, Avion, DJ. Yepez, Sanford. We talked about those guys. I said on the podcast they would bust their way in. I don't know if that's true now. I don't know. I thought they did enough at first, but now looking at their resume, I don't know if that's enough. So now the big question is, G, what is Toaster Guy going to do? Because he's the last top 25 guy remaining that isn't JT and Tago, who are already locked. Toaster Guy, William Brock, Andreas Allen are the big three. What will they, and Caesar?
I mean, I wouldn't throw Allen into this bubble conversation, not because like he can't make Super League, but it's mainly because I don't think he has any chance of making it unless he wins the tournament, which that wouldn't really apply to the bubble. It would just move one person out.
So Toaster Guy and then Caesar are the two big ones, of course, with Brock. I think those are the three. Those are the big three. I mean, what are those guys going to do? You look at the match. If Toaster Guy goes out there and beats Allen, you almost have to put him in. His strength of schedule, it's there. Now, if he loses to Allen, that's 2 quad 4 losses, right? He lost the pack with 7. And if he loses to Allen, then there's a debate. I think he may be able to get away with it because of his strength of schedule where he just had all these quad 1 and 2 games. KT win helps, of course. Sanford win. He's interesting. Brock has to now an Eli win. If he beats JT, almost got to think he's in. Can Caesar beat Cap? And is that enough? Right? Those are the three guys. And who would they kick out? Right? You have to think if the Doomsdays, if they all win and they're in the Final Four, that's Doomsday. For Yepez, it's almost Ignite, right? He's pretty much that, right? It's going to be hard to convince him to say he's in. Right, that's a Doomsday scenario. Sanford, that could be Doomsday as well, right? So and you look at it, there's only 3 games that realistically matter. The Ashley Tago game, it matters for Ashley for number 1. Tago, maybe again it's a single by island. But the 3 games that really matter are going to be the 3 guys that are on the bubble. I don't know, G. Toaster Guy is probably in the best spot with Brock. I think Caesar's still got more work to do. Assuming he gets by Cap, he's going to get another chance at quad 1 regardless because Mars plays Jupiter. So this is crazy, man. It's hard to believe we're down to William Brock and Toaster Guy really control the cards. Those are the 2 main guys that control the cards. Where if you would have told me those 2 guys are going to be the main controllers at the end of this tournament, I would have called you nuts. Right? We have big name. We obviously will never know what happened with Drip and some other people just unfortunately couldn't play. But it's crazy to think, gee, that those are the main guys that control the cards. Your thoughts on this bubble? And the more and more I look at this, I don't even know if Yepez and Sanford did enough. That's crazy to say. But your thoughts on that?
And yeah, I mean, this is where I was talking about earlier with those matches. Especially with the fact that they were coming in below the cut line. I don't think that really helps their case. But I mean, this battle is really tight. I mean, I could see anyone from Lane to Sanford. I think may have. I don't even know. It's tough. Tough to put all of these guys in an order. Maybe there's a possibility Yoshi somehow finds his way back into the mix. I don't know if that's likely the case, but depending with how this went, I wouldn't completely rule it out. But I would say Yoshi's definitely the lowest chance out of these. But I really think these guys on the bubble have to be watching Toaster Guy, William Brock. I mean, and then even you said Caesar. One more, right? Caesar, if he wins, I mean, they got to be watching them because if even just one of them makes it, that's not good for them. If all 3 of them make it in the Final Four, that is a nightmare scenario for all of them. They don't want to see that happen because that's going to bump a lot of them out, and I actually think that's going to make it the Final Four in this tournament will help all 3 of them out very much. And you could, I'm actually no, because technically the Toaster Guy or Allen makes it. You can't be both. Let's assume the Final Four is Final Four. Let's assume it's William Brock, Julio Caesar, or Julio
Toast.
Caesar. Ashley Tago doesn't really matter, but we'll just throw Tago for the sake of argument, and then Toaster Guy. That is a nightmare scenario for all these people on the bracket, or I'm losing my train of thought. All
Bubble.
these people on the bubble, because I mean, we look at this bubble picture right now. Like, let's exclude Yoshi for now. I think he may have a tiny chance, but not that big. That's 7 people, right? So that goes from 11th to 17th. 5 of those 7 would make it. You throw 3 of those people in there that probably make it. Certainly that goes down to 2. And I think there's a lot of people who are praying on their knees that we don't get any of the people we just mentioned in the Final Four. They need they need Allen to beat Toaster Guy. I mean, the Tago Ashley game doesn't technically matter. They need Captain to
JT.
beat Caesar, and then they need JT to beat Brock, and then probably JT beat Allen also, because you don't want Allen to win the tournament per se in terms of your hopes. I mean, obviously a lot of people would like to see Allen win the tournament, big fan favorite, but that's besides the point. We're really mainly talking about like the bubble in terms of people who don't win the tournament. But yeah, I mean, out of this group, that's the most safe. I'm gonna be honest. I think it's Ghost, but even then, I don't have full confidence in that. We're just gonna have to see. It's really just depends on how the rest of this tournament plays out. But I mean, if we get a Final Four with Toaster Guy, William Brock,
Caesar.
and Caesar, that's nightmare scenario for these bubble players, and they don't want to see that. So yeah, they're praying we get like a boring-ish Final Four, because that's what they need to make sure they're in the field.
So you want to hear something crazy? We're gonna know in less than 24 hours. Everything's on tomorrow. Everything's happening tomorrow.
Yep. Make sure you tune into Emery Uno to watch the full round of 8 in one day.
Well, except for Ashley Tago, but realistically, that game doesn't matter, right? So if you think about tomorrow, we're going to know our fate. We're going to kind of know what's going to happen. It's insane, in my opinion, that we're going to know our stuff from when we start at 1:30 tomorrow. I won't be up for 11 o'clock, whatever the hell that last game finishes. But I'll know the first 2 games, like what we're going to do. And then if Allen or Toasty win, the scenes, if somehow, right, those guys all make it. Or even if, let's say, even worst case is, let's say Caesar wins, right? Brock wins, but what if Allen wins and then Allen beats Brock and he's in the finale? And what if it's somehow Ashley or Tago and they don't care, right? Or Cap and he, it's dangerous. These guys in the bubble are sweating bullets. They need Cap to just maybe come. They need Cap to not combust. They need him to absolutely lock in tomorrow and not take it lightly, or else that's going to be the star of trains. The thing you don't want to see. And we know JT is notorious on card luck, but man, you just don't know if that's going to be the X factor. It's crazy to think, man. It's insane to think that we're coming down to the stretch, and you're right, G. I think we're going to have about 10 people for this last 5 spots. It's not going to be the 2 people that was Clay. It was a Clay, a little bit of JT Eli, but it was just Clay Cody last year. That was it. But we'll see how it goes, man. It's going to be a fun finish. Any last thoughts, my friend, before we move on?
I mean, I'm trying to find the right gift for this, but
Yeah.
I mean, this is probably like what most people are just going to be feeling like watching like these people in the bubble. This is really probably what they're going to be feeling like watching through this the entire game tomorrow, especially if one of these people win. It's just despair. You just feel like your Super League slipping away and there's nothing you could do about it. So it's going to be a very, very scary day for a lot of these people on the bubble tomorrow, or I guess today by the time this comes out.
Week 5, G. It's literally week 5 in Super League. We all know how that went for certain people. You have no control, right? You're just twiddling your thumbs and hoping something works on the other end, and hoping the guys say, "Hey, please give the luck to the other players." But it's a little weird too tomorrow, because there's just that one game where, okay, Allen wins, but then what if he gets hot? Right? So I feel like the Allen Toasty game in a way is not a good. It's not good either way, right? So that's kind of crazy. We're into that situation. There's one game it doesn't matter. There's one game where it matters, but either way doesn't look good. And then there's 2 games where if Brock proves a point, Caesar proves a point, then you're throwing up your arms. But yeah, I agree. Stingray's done. Bow ties. I don't think they have a chance, but you never know, right? You never know. With Yoshi, does he have a chance? Probably not, but maybe there's like a slim hope. Monkey, I think, is finished, but you never know, right? Maybe he finds a way somehow, because just the other resumes suck. It's an incredible scene we're gonna see. We're gonna know basically. Well, as this comes out, we're gonna know in less than 12 hours that what's gonna happen. It's funny. It's funny how the world works. It's funny how the game works. All right, G, we got to go to the last two topics. We're gonna finish it up with some predictions. Let's start it off right. In that first game, on the top, obviously it'll be the last game of the night on Friday, but the first game, of course, we're covering Alan Toasty, and here's what I'm going to say. I really like Toasty's style. I played him. I love his style. Now you're probably thinking, "Kay, that's stupid," because you don't play like that, right? He gets to Uno, and no, I don't play like that. But guess what? It works, and the reason why it worked, I figured it out, is when you get the card lock and you can get the ammo control, it actually works really good. The problem is, do we really know how Alan's going to react to a best of 9 double power play situation? And he's on house money. This is his last game potentially in Virginia. I think he's going to have a lot of emotions pent up, and he's going to let it go on the table. I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm going to go Allen here 5-4. He's going to figure out a way to use those 2 power plays and get the toast. I got a gut feeling, G, this has been his tournament to lose. When he lost myself in Sapir, this is it. A lot of people want to see him win from fans' perspective. I think this might be the first time. I know I won March where everyone was happy for me for the most part. We could get a fan favorite here to win this region. I really do. I got Allen 5-4. Toast is a fan favorite guy too, but maybe not tomorrow with a lot of people on the bubble. So I'll go Allen here 5-4 in a close one. What do you got?
I unfortunately think Toaster Guy needs this substantially more, and he does have experience with this best of 9 2 power plays rule set. Did it in May, beat Seth Cole 5-3, who is another bubble guy.
Another
so
one, yep.
unfortunately, it's going to, in a way, give Seth another loss here. I think history repeats itself. I think Toaster Guy wins 5-3. I mean, I think this is an incredible bounce back tournament from Allen, but I just don't know. We have never really seen someone go from 0 wins the entire time to making it all the way to the finale, because we saw this earlier in the year with Ed Ziemba, absolute run that came absolutely out of nowhere. That ended in the round of 8, 5-3. So I just don't. I unfortunately don't see it. I would love to see it happen. I mean, you could argue Bowtie too with the run out of nowhere. That would end in 5-1. So I would love to see it happen, but I just don't think it's in the cards, and I think Toaster needs this significantly more. So I think that's really going to be what ends up leading the way here. I say Toaster Guy wins. That's going to be for the first of the 3 bubble guys who makes it in, and that could be putting a bit of dread onto the remainder of the field.
Well, we'll kind of now. Normally, I would go to Region 2, but we're gonna go to Region 4 then, because the winner would set up. Never how it works is 1-4-2-3. So we'll go to Region 4 because that game will set up who would play.
Oh.
Why? Oh, actually, what am I saying? You're going with Brock. What the hell am I saying?
You already know you know what I have to go. I have to stick with this the entire time. Otherwise, I look like a fool.
Yeah, you're gonna have to stick with it. I'm gonna go Brock too. I think JT is going to put up a fight. I really think, but he's locked in now. Realistically, the only chance JT has a double by Island has to win it for him, and even then, there's tiebreakers and metrics where I don't even know if it's going to be enough. I think Brock's got more to play for here. I really think Brock wins this one 5-4. Now, the one thing I will say, the one caveat is Brock doesn't like power play, but I think we get to a situation where JT burns them up to get wins, and Brock doesn't even need to use them. So give me Brock here 5-4. He'll get the job done. It'll be a close game. What's your reasoning for Brock winning here, G?
I mean, I said it before. I got to ride with it. This is the guy I technically picked from the start, and if I jump off now, I feel like I'm just kind of being a bit of a coward there. So, sticking with Brock, I'm gonna go 5-2, mainly because Brock's been giving 2 wins to his opponent every single round so far. So I think that trend continues. So gonna land with 5-2. The power play might be a bit of an iffy issue, but we've seen him work around something similar to that so far this season. So. Especially with the way he's playing right now, I think he'll be all right and should be set to go. And then again, I think that Sanford win was very important for him to make sure that he defines his spot in the Super League field. At this point, he's just trying to play to get a bye, which I don't know if he necessarily needs. I think making the field this year is a big enough accomplishment. So But yeah, well, we'll see. Maybe the honeymoon effect will still be in play, so can't rule that out.
Nah, you can't. You never know in this league, man. You never know with some of these weird superstitions. They work. It's only weird if it doesn't work, right? Let's go to the game that it may not matter in terms of Super League bubble, but it does matter in the number one player race, and that should say, yeah, apologies. I'm looking at the other pie. It's just gonna be Ashley versus Tago. I really think Tago's got something special here, G. I really do, but he's running into the gauntlet. I just don't think, even though Ashley doesn't care about being the number one player, she knows he's on double by island. I think she's going to use this as a litmus test, and here's why. If she gets on double by island, what's her first game going to be back? It's going to be this round. Technically going to be the Elite Eight. I think she's going to use this as a litmus test, and this is what I wanted to do. If I got this far, I would use this game as a litmus test. I guess it would have been against Alan. If I got here, I would have used the game as a litmus test, try some things, but also lock in my craft. She's going to have a unique opportunity to do that. Same with Cap. I think it's too much of an opportunity, and she'll lock in. Give me Ashley 5-3. Would use the power plays effectively, and keep the number one race going for now. What do you think?
I'm gonna flip that. I'm gonna say Tago wins 5-3. I think Tago's got something cooking. I think he's gonna keep it cooking here. He knows that not double Y. He knows that Buyer Island is near, and I think he's gonna want to push and push for that. So I think the open opportunity. If he wins this matchup, I think he gets not double Y. I keep saying double Y. I don't know why I say double Y. I think if he wins this matchup, I think he gets into that top six into the Buyer Island. I think he's really looking for that because I think he'd rather not play in the group. So. I'm actually going to lean Tago here. I've been liking what I've seen so far. He starts off a bit slow, but is able to get it rolling in the middle of the game.
Be a good one. It will be a good one for sure. I think both players are going to be motivated for sure. And the last one, well, this is a tough one, G. This is a real tough one. I really want to pick.
I'm going to open with
Yeah.
this. Here's the thing. We already know what style we're going to see going into this. My question is, how well can Caesar hang with this style? Because I think Captain's going to be able to take control of the quick style and the low cards very quickly. It's just, how does Caesar hang with this? Because I don't think we have ever seen him go anything lower than, play anything lower than like 7.
He's done 11 before. He's done some. But it's very rare. He only breaks it out when he loses and the luck doesn't favor. I'm going to have to stick with my prediction, G. I'm going with my guns. I believe this is going to be a crazy. I think Caesar's going to play well. I think he's going to lose 5-3. I believe Captain Ashley will be your final four. The winner of that game gets number one. I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to hold true to it. I believe we're going to see a once-in-a-lifetime match. We thought Cap Brad was it, right? That will be it'll be a trilogy. Ashley Cap, think about that, the storyline. They started the year in the same pod, and they're going to finish in the final four to get the number one overall player. You can't script it any better. Love my brother Caesar, but he's even said it himself. Those low ties is where he can't cook. I think Cap's, and he's home, and the problem is Cap's at home. Right? If Caesar was at home, I think he can control it. Brad made a good point. He thought he could control it. The problem was with Brad. He got down early on a little bit of wild control he didn't expect. Caesar won't be ready for this in the back end of this year. He will be in the first 6 games. I think Cap will cook. It'll be a 3-3 game. Entering Game 7, he figures out a way into the sunset. Cap 5-3. Caesar's dream, unfortunately, ends for a second time. What do you think?
I think the important thing for Caesar going into this matchup is if it goes bad early, he can't get discouraged. He's got to keep his head up and keep fighting. Because I think the moment he gets discouraged or like frustrated, I think the game's over. So he's got to be locked in until either he wins the match or the match is officially over. But I mean, you talk about it again, this low tide start, this is the thing that Caesar's not very great with. So I think when it came to players' play style he had to get for this matchup, it's not a great draw. So I would have given him a better chance if it was Brad here, but I don't know. I think this really just comes down to the way Captain does his style, and some people are ready for it. Some people it's hard to fight against. And I unfortunately don't think Caesar's going to be able to have the tools needed to fight against this low tide style. I'm going to say I think it gets out of hand a bit early. Caesar gets some games back, but I think it ends 5-2 here. And this is mostly just how Captain runs these games. So I think it runs quick. I think it runs low. And Caesar's going to try to fight back. I think his homestands are going to be important. I don't think if he needs to make sure he doesn't drop any of his homestand games. I really think those homestands are going to be what could make the difference in him possibly getting the victory here. But I got Captain in this one. So interesting Final Four that we'd have set up here. I picked Tago, so we wouldn't quite get the Ashley Captain trilogy yet, but again, it would be initially Final Four. I did pick 2 of the 3 guys who are on this this bubble scare to love the field, so we'll see what happens with that.
Well, we would have a Allen. Well, yes, it's hard to really. You'd have Allen Brock. I have Jay. No, I have. No, I have Allen Brock. You have
Allen.
Toasty Brock.
The only
You
one,
have Toasty
the
Brock.
only ones we agreed on were Brock and Captain, I think, actually. So
Who do you think wins this tournament, G, in the final 4 game? Who do you got? We'll wrap it up right here.
I mean, you already know.
William Brock. Well, why shouldn't I be surprised?
I have to stick with it. I said it at the start.
Stick with it, yeah.
I can't jump off it. I have to stick with it. So
no, you have to stick with it. You have to stick with it. You're right. You're right. I didn't have any prediction to win. I honest to God, G, I thought deep down I thought Sean would win this whole thing. Deep down, I'm an idiot. Okay.
I mean,
let's see if I can.
That is the second time you have picked Sean Ard to win the whole tournament this season. So
Yeah, well, I can't pick myself. I thought I wasn't gonna win anyway. I didn't need to win. I thought Ard could do it, but Ashley Cap, I'll say Ashley would get it done. On the other side, it'd be Allen versus Allen versus Brock. You know what? I'm gonna go. We're gonna get a double-A battery finale. I'm gonna go double-A battery. We're gonna go Ashley Allen. I think Ashley breaks the curse. Her seconds are done. I think she wins 6-5 over Allen. I think Allen will put up a fight, but I don't know if Allen is then ready for that. I think the one thing Allen has benefited off of, G, I will say, is players like Seth, who they were on the bubble, right? They may have been coming with more pressure. You look at Chomik saying he didn't, maybe more pressure. It was a split ammo style. Allen plays split ammo. The problem is Ashley knows how to counter that. I'm going to go Ashley gets it done. I'll say she wins the whole thing, finally breaks that curse of the seconds. And she'll cap off the year after losing in the March finale to me. And we'll say Ashley KT will bookend the season. There we go. Now, I don't know. It's going to be good. It's hard though, to know, G, because you got to look at this. Everyone's, at this point of the season, there's only 7 games left in the year, right?
Mhm.
And the 3rd place game don't even count. You don't know what motivations are going to be. After tomorrow, think about it, after today, right? Because this comes out today. There's only 4 games left. It's crazy how fast and furious this season went, but overall takeaway, since this is the last episode of the regular season now to think about, other than the recap, which that's nothing. It's great that we had a lot of episodes. I think this format's great for the podcast. I think we're going to continue that. I know a lot of people want to see interviews. I don't believe we're going to be doing a lot.
I think the way it was this year, it was tough to do interviews because you won. I mean, really, the idea would be to interview the tournament winner, but you won tournament 1, so it's like that's redundant. Captain won tournament 2. He never VCs.
Brad
won tournament 3. He doesn't really talk. And then Tapir won tournament 4, and again, he's another person that doesn't really talk. So we had a bunch of people who won tournaments who don't talk. So we can't really do a podcast with the person typing out their answers. It kind of doesn't really work like that. But
no,
we'll try to figure something out. I think we could have an open room for some interviews in the off season. We'll have a few off season episodes here and there, but I think there's a few fun ideas we have for things we might talk about during that. But yeah, hopefully we can maybe do a little bit more with the interviews next season, or even just in the off season in general. But again, I think we kind of start off with the winners kind of just not being the right lineup to make it work. So that's really just what it came down to.
Yeah, and we'll have that big interview with Grim. We do want to get Grim on the show with Cody and I. We're supposed to have a really big episode, just talking about what's good with the bot, making sure everything's clean with that. But other than that, man, it's been a good year. It's good. It's been, obviously, I want to thank Short for coming in for an episode, Sanford as well. I know Lamas officers offered his services as well. Appreciate him making all the thumbnails.
Backdrops.
Yeah, he absolutely, and we're gonna get him and Graham, of course, in that one episode. We appreciate you guys because this is the last regular season episode, other than the recap, and then we start talking about who made Super League and whatnot, and some previews for that. But I appreciate everybody contributing. Thank you so much. We're gonna improve the platform again. We had about basically, if we count one more episode at the end of when this tournament's over, 29 regular season episodes. Right, was what we wanted. We'll have about a lot of playoff episodes. G. A lot of playoff episodes are coming. We're thinking maybe. Well, you got to think one for every week, right? Plus, there's a little bit of D2 chip to cap. That might be an episode in itself. You got the brackets, which is 6, 7. You're looking at 7 or 8 more playoff episodes, and then a little recap of breaking the field. There's about 8 or 9 more episodes left to go in the season. So we're looking forward to giving you those last 9. But thank you for so much, G, for making time for 28 of these bad boys. And we'll run it back next year. Looking forward to having you back as my co-host. Want to thank everybody for supporting. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Pod, really our home. But YouTube is really the main thing. We're going to cook up more stories and stuff for that. This year, look, we've had the new bot. We've had a lot of things happen this year where we just weren't able to cook on the media side. We also didn't have a structured media package. Expect that to come next year. It's going to look fantastic. But right now, for all of us here, I want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for listening, watching, commenting, join the Discord. We're a guild now. That's fantastic. We're just getting new people left and right every day. So you guys stay well, stay positive out there. The playoffs are coming. We'll see you for the final episode of the Space September recap coming at the end of September. And of course, Super League stuff kicking it off early October. See you guys.